Hey guys, what is up? It is me again, NintendoConsoleGamer. Today we're going to be doing another in-depth weapon breakdown. Today we are doing the MP5ka4, the only purebred submachine gun in the game. The surface of this weapon would make you think that it was one of the more uninteresting guns in the game. However, that's not entirely true. Beyond the surface, there are a few little interesting features of this weapon that you might not really expect. But enough with the teasing again, and so we're going to take a look now at the first thing we always discuss about a weapon, which is the damage. Now, if you do not want to put any upgrades on this gun, which I would not suggest, I'm just going to tell you that already, you're going to be doing 11 damage on the head and 8 shots on the body. That's going to be a 10 to 13 shot kill, which in my opinion is miserable. Headshots are going to be very important when you're using it this way, as you're going to have a 3-shot differential, which is a 1.375x headshot multiplier. But if you wanted to put the least of the damage upgrades on this gun, which would be improved damage, or in this case, improved ballistic damage, you would find that it would make a slight jump to 12 damage on the head to 9 damage on the body. However, that makes it a 9 to 12 shot kill instead of a 10 to 13, since the numbers are so minuscule. Every point makes a big difference. Your headshot multiplier is going to go down a bit to 1.3x. However, if you decided to put the greater of the damage upgrades on this gun, which would be damage focus, or in this case ballistics focus, you would find that the damage would make the slight jump to 13 to 10, making this an 8 to 10 shot kill, which is surprisingly a great improvement because of what I explained earlier with the minuscule numbers. And your headshot multiplier is going to remain about the same, just a few hundredths off. Now, if you decided to combine the two damage upgrades and go for double damage, your gun is going to make the ever so slight jump to 14 to 10, which is still an 8 to 10 shot kill, and thus I do not recommend equipping both. It's only going to help when your enemy is wounded, and your headshot multiplier is going to make a jump by a 10th, but it doesn't matter. At this point in the video, you might be wondering what's actually good about this gun, and it does have a couple redeeming qualities to it, and one of these is its rate of fire, which is second highest in Conduit 2, the second highest weapon fire mode, because some vary depend on if you're doing secondary or primary fire. It is between the carbonizer's secondary fire and the hive cannon, at a moderately high rate of fire for this game at 700 rounds per minute. It also has a fairly healthy magazine of 30, that's downgraded by 2 rounds from the last game, but still fairly good considering how fast it shoots and so on. It is 10 more than the SCAR for what it's worth, even though the SCAR does shoot slower. This gun also has a fairly medium reload time. I would say it's not quite fast, not slow, definitely either. So that's another okay-ish factor of the gun. This time I actually tested the movement speed of the weapon myself, which was not too hard. It came in exactly the same as the USP, which means it has a 100% movement speed, no movement penalty whatsoever, as would probably be expected from a gun like this, considering it's a secondary and all. And that brings us over to the part of the video where I bring you over to Streets Prime to look at the accuracy of the gun at a couple different ranges, and so let's go ahead and do that. So, when we hit fire just against the wall, you can see it's a round dot, which is what you want, fairly accurate like everything else in the game. And when you go aim down sights from the same distance, it's going to be a bit tighter, but about the same. Now, when you back up a little bit and hip fire, you're going to see there's a tiny bit of side-to-side recoil, but not that bad. And when you aim down sights, that is going to be essentially removed. So aiming down sights is a good option. Now, when we fire out the window, you're going to see in a second that it's even less accurate, but not that bad. And when you ADS from the same distance, this side-to-side pattern is almost going to be removed. So this actually, in my opinion, kind of explains the weak damage, because otherwise this gun would be a death laser because of how accurate it is at sustained distances with the aim down sights, and it's really not that bad even otherwise. It has a much lower fire rate than the SCAR, and it's still much more accurate. I mean, much higher fire rate, that is. So, honestly, the reason this gun is so weak is because it's so accurate. You can peg people from quite a ways away in about the same amount of shots as if you were just very close up. And also the aim, the sights I thought were a little bit hard to use. They obstructed part of your target, which is another balancing factor, so you wouldn't be able to kill people all the way across the map with a submachine gun in, 10 shots being fired, which would be pretty crazy. To be honest, especially when you consider that submachine guns in the real world are designed to be extreme close-range weapons. So now, moving on to the last part of the review is my personal opinion about the gun and the way I like to use it. Now, personally, I did not like this gun at all when I first started using it as a low-level player. I hated this gun. I thought it was the worst gun in the game. Well, not the worst gun in the game, but the worst commonly used gun in the game, certainly. But as I leveled up and got to be a more experienced player, I found that this weapon was a lot easier to use. If you can... it's not that hard to stay on target with it, so if you can get the amount of shots required, you can knock people down just as well as with, almost any other gun. And obviously if you don't have that much lag, you're going to do that much better with it. And so as a result of that, I've come to the conclusion that it is a good gun, but only in the hands of good and experienced players. Because obviously as a low level, not that good at this game, if you can't keep your reticle on the person, it's going to hurt you a lot. And with this gun you're going to struggle because you require to take so many shots to knock someone down. So for more experienced players, this is a very solid weapon, and I run it a lot more than I used to. Now, if I were going to completely ignore my primary weapon and just use this as my primary, this is how I would want to run it. First of all, I would want to equip ballistics focus to get the optimal damage out of this gun. Next, going down the line, I like to use stabilizer, quickness. Those ones I almost always use with pretty much any loadout, honestly. So I generally use those. And then lastly, for my last upgrade, since improved ballistics damage is going to do nothing alongside a ballistics focus, I would probably spend it on something like extended melee, as you're going to want to be in close quarters every now and then with this gun. That's always a good option. So that's pretty much how I like to run with it. That's pretty much everything there is to say about it. So I'm going to wrap this video up by saying that my next episode will be the HVS-45, and that thankfully I am almost done getting gameplay for it, so expect that probably Tuesday. And so if you like the video, please like it. If you dislike the video, dislike it. If you really liked it, add to the favorites. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It would help me out a lot. So I will see you guys next time.